Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of The Chord. Now on The Chord we have for you a man who should have been in the series a long time back, and why I didn't do it is beyond me. Maybe because I've been looking and concentrating too much on metal bands, grunge, not looking too much into the people who really made history is something that I am guilty of, but I'm not going to do it again. Because today and right this month, my friends, we have for you who one of the biggest names ever in the 80s, 70s and 90s. Let me put it the other way around. 70s, 80s and 90s when it came to the music industry, and he's got nobody on par with him even today. He will never have anybody on par with him when it comes to the future also. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the master of pop, the man and the godfather of a lot of musicians even today who consider themselves to be musicians in today's era. I'm talking about Michael Jackson. Now, what can I say about Michael Jackson that people do not know? Well, there's a lot about him that people do not know. And even when I went through his biography, two things hit me. One is, of course, to figure out and to understand the psyche behind the man who was Michael Jackson, the human being, and Michael Jackson, who was the artist, Michael Jackson, who was the performer, and Michael Jackson just being who he was, Michael Jackson. He had his eccentricities. He had a very powerful side of him that came out through his music. He had also a very shy, timid part of him, and then he had a dark side that people claim are true. I find it difficult to believe it, but that was Michael Jackson. Now, Michael Jackson, is he a dancer first, singer next, or is he a singer first or dancer next? Well, that question is like, which came first, the egg or the chicken? You really can't answer that question. But what we know for sure that he's a performer. He started dancing and singing at the age of 6 with the group of his brothers who came together calling themselves the Jackson 5. Now, their father was very instrumental in making sure that Michael Jackson and the brothers came together, played their Motown music into every single club they could find themselves, and eventually they hit the limelight and made it massively big. Now, you look at Michael Jackson when he was young at the age of 6, and when he performs, you can see that he had this rhythm in him already. Of course, there's this thing that goes around in the internet saying that the blacks can play basketball and they definitely can dance because a white man can't play basketball or they can dance at all. Now, whether it's true or not, we don't know, but we know. I am not being prejudiced here, nor am I trying to be racial by saying that the blacks have the rhythm in them. But when you look at Michael Jackson, you know that he's got something, the way he bounces about, the way he's dancing. It seems to him that the music is already there in the blood. When you see him performing with the Jackson 5, you can see the brothers just doing some steps on their own. But Michael Jackson is just going berserk, turning around, spinning around, jumping on his feet. He's like this cracker that is going off and you can't do anything about it. But that is what Michael Jackson was right through his life. What makes Michael Jackson famous? Is it just because he knew how to sing or perform? No, it's not that. He was also an extraordinary human being. Started off at the age of 6 with his brothers in the Jackson 5. He made hits right across, but decided that, okay, I was born in 58. 6 years when I'm 6 years old, I've been with the Jackson 5. I will stay with them for about 5 to 7 years more. Once I am 19, I'm going to do my own thing. And that's what he did. He went and met Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones said, what do you want to do? He said, I want to go solo. He went solo with the album called Off the Wall, sold 20 million copies and never looked back. He never joined the Jackson 5 ever again. He just went straight and made music for himself and became the master of everything that he surveyed. He was, well, he had the golden touch. Even Midas was not good enough to beat Michael Jackson when it came to music. So Michael Jackson went to Quincy Jones and decided, okay, I'm going to go and make the album called Off the Wall, sell 20 million records, and then eventually make a name for myself as a solo artist. Everybody in the world knew Michael Jackson. They were dancing to his tunes. Michael Jackson had this thing about when he used to sing, he used to make these sounds with his voice that other artists were not doing. I can't put a finger to it and say that it sounds like a moan, because it does not. This sounds like as something just bit him, maybe. But he's got these moments in the song where he goes and he does something that sounds like ouch. You can hear it, but you don't know if he's doing it purposely, but it just became a part of who he was. But also the way he danced, the way he made his moves, everything was so different that people looking at him and saying, is that a different art form altogether? It was Michael Jackson's style for sure. Now, Michael Jackson, if you know something about him, you will realize that towards the end of his life, things were not really shaping up the way he wanted. Controversies were coming and biting him. He didn't want that label. From being a man who was black, he eventually became completely white. Now, that happened during the time in between he made Thriller, we'll talk about Thriller, of course, but then apart from that, he made Bad. Now, if you look at his face when he was in the Thriller album, he's black. Suddenly look at him in the Bad album, he's white. So people thought that he was literally bleaching his skin, but no, he came out and he told clearly to everybody, including Oprah Winfrey in 1998, that he did not bleach his skin and he's got a skin pigmentation problem and there's nothing he could do about it out of his hands. Will we ever know the truth? Because Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson. We've come to the end of this episode of The Cord. Let me tell you more about Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, let me tell you, you've got very little that you heard so far. There's lots more to go. So keep in touch and be in tune with The Cord.